Hi guys, welcome back. So there we have it, New Zealand, the clean sweep over Australia. 3-0 in games, 2-0 in the Rugby Championship. This game 21-38. But Australian fans, you're going to be pretty frustrated because they certainly shot themselves in the foot again a lot. So they should be a lot closer, but still New Zealand definitely the better side. Great game to watch, perfect conditions. It started off a little bit shaky for Australia because their line-out was poor last game. They lost the first one, concede a scrum penalty first up, but to be fair, they come back and actually maybe even edge the set piece. Certainly it's close, certainly no dominance for New Zealand in the set piece, but it was a poor start. But then Karevi comes roaring back into the game, bursts through the middle of the ruck after 3 minutes, and this is a tactic that Australia actually used to their benefit, an area of the pitch where New Zealand don't defend awfully well up the centre of the ruck. They spread out quite quickly. 2-on-1 to Corambetti. Does he make the line? Well, it actually doesn't matter in the end because there is an offside way back. But certainly they get over the line twice with Corambetti and don't get the try twice. So again, it could have been a lot closer. But New Zealand, they're all the way back down the pitch for the penalty. 10-metre maul. Another penalty, 5-metre maul, but then a big play from Swain, the second row, swims through the maul for a turnover, and Australia actually do that a couple of times very nicely through the maul. But it's a good start to the game. We're off and running. Australia looking to run the ball a lot, which is kind of what Australia do, run the ball out of their half. As a Northern Hemisphere fan, it's not something we see a lot in international rugby, and indeed Australia concede a penalty of this one and give away 3 easy points by running the ball out. But anyway, that is the way they play. Both sides' defences are snuffing out attacks pretty well, and indeed New Zealand actually managed to get a 60-metre net gain off a turnover, and then to fight into 5 metres, get a penalty, another easy 3, so 6-0 ahead without having to do a huge amount, just their defence stepping up. Then we get a touch of quality from New Zealand on 17 minutes. Beauden Barrett, lovely little grubber through for Will Jordan to collect. A couple of short passes later, over they go for Geordie Barrett, 13-0. So really good start for New Zealand. Already looks like a mountain to climb for Australia. Australia looked good, ball in hand through the whole game. They built phases very nicely, and it's just the errors that kind of really cost them. Plus New Zealand were super sharp in the turnovers when they see the chance. On 21 minutes, electric pace from Rieko Ioane shreds Australia's dogleg kick chase defence, gets a 50-metre gain, but they lose the ball forward. And Rieko Ioane will be very happy with his game, playing on the wing this time, not the centre, but just showing he can play both equally as well, and he's not lost any pace. Really impressive. As was Australia's wing, Corambetti, who is a world-class player, one of their probably few world-class players. Quality kick chase regather from him launches Australia into a good attack in the 22. They really need to score to stay in touch, but no, really poor, awful miss from the penalty from that attack from Lolosio, and indeed the goal kicking was very poor in the whole match, so not a good one there. Lots of hook kicks. Lolosio this time, Beauden Barrett later on. Then we have a huge moment in the match, or so it seems. Geordie Barrett, red card, puts his boot right up when he's catching a high ball. Now, when you catch a high ball, it is a good idea to get your knee up, and indeed that's a natural jumping position anyway. But boot up, I've seen it quite a few times, looks very dodgy, can get pinged for sure, and also he actually moves his foot up after he's jumped to make it look even worse. So that's something players have got to keep an eye on. Certainly, I think they are being coached a bit as well, trying to get your foot up a bit, but that shows that you can't do it, and you probably shouldn't be able to do it. So it's a red card, but that's not the end of the story, of course, now, because that's 20 minutes. Then the All Blacks can come back up to 15 players. So that's a fair change. I wonder if the match would have been different if he'd been off for the whole match. Australia need to take advantage of this, but they go through a couple more errors like Australia have been doing. Terrible kick error, missing penalty touch from the kick, kicking it dead. Like I said, the line-out battles evened out, the scrum battles evened out. McDermott, Karevi, Corambetti looking very dangerous for Australia, but they just got to score. They got to convert the pressure into points. They get a great chance on 34 minutes. Good Australian pressure in the New Zealand half. Very patient defence from New Zealand, get the turnover, but Australia come roaring back into the 22 a second time, get the penalty, 5 metre line out, Maul from the back, nice transfer to the back, Krumbetti goes over for the second time, but crawling on the floor, which has been hotly picked up by the refs recently, so no try, big moment. And then straight away, New Zealand go back a few minutes later and get a try. So absolute killer period for Australia. Jordan and Bauer, really sharp tackle, then Jackal pushes New Zealand all the way to 10 metres, get a line out, massive maul, bit too easy, especially with 14 men. Try for Havili, 18 points to 0 to New Zealand. That's an absolute killer. Shocker of a kick from Barrett, and he kicked very poorly all game, but 18-0, especially when there's been a red card, that's pretty hard for Australia to take. So half-time, 18-0, super clinical from New Zealand when they've got the chance. Australia will definitely feel like they should be on the board. They've got about 6 more minutes with that red card to use after half-time. New Zealand trying to use the boot, defensive pressure just to keep Australia at bay. And indeed, a good jackal from Anton Leonard-Brown, whose defence is outstanding, is helping to run the clock out. Massive penalty kick to touch from Beauden Barrett, but excellent turnover from Australia, and we get a foot race. Banks looks like he might make it to the try line. Rieko Ioane is chasing. Who's quicker? Well, Ioane's quicker. That's a big play. Makes the tackle. 0 points from the red card period, so that definitely hurts. But Australia have waited for New Zealand to get back up to 15 players. Then they put some quality together. McDermott makes a really good break to 5 metres. Karevi comes into play 9, hits Fainga'a wide out, try 7-18. So they're back in the game, not with the red card, but when they're back to 15. Anyway, New Zealand are struggling to keep the ball in attack. I mean, when they get the chance, they are scoring, but they're not actually building the sustained phases that Australia are actually building. They're resorting to the boot a little bit early, but Australia, again, give them a little bit of a get-out-of-jail-free card. Not the greatest attack working the ball wide from New Zealand, but Australia missed 3 tackles, 2 missed tackles really, 1 kind of going for a half dummy. Akira Ioane goes through. I mean, he's so dangerous out wide. He must be absolutely loving it at the moment. 2v1 to Jordan, try, 7 points to 23. Another horrible kick from Beauden Barrett, of course. I mean, that was shocking defence from Australia. They'll be absolutely livid with that one. But Australia come back. Like I said, they're attacking well. Good phases. Karevi inside to Lolosio into the 22. This could be the big moment, but Australia just are feeling the pressure, trying to force the ball wide from the second row Phillip. Havili spots it, intercepts, and goes the length of the pitch. Ouch, 7-28. Just the story of the match, indeed, the whole 3-game series for Australia. Like I said, Beauden Barrett's goal kicking is shocking. Mo'unga's under no threat there, although his general play is excellent. And like I said, story of the 3 matches, Australia absolutely killing themselves and New Zealand lethal in any sort of transition play. Now, just when I wrote this, it happens again on 64 minutes. Australia, great phases, building through the phases. Initially look good, but lose the ball. New Zealand go the length to touchdown with McKenzie this time, but it is ruled out because the ball actually does go forward from McKenzie to Barrett. Looks like they might have juggled it with their boot, but they don't. So it just reinforces the point I was making. And then Australia make it stick. When they make it stick, they look good. They score a really good try. Samu pick and go through the middle. Like I mentioned, the middle of the ruck was a weak area for New Zealand. Inside ball to White, who's a real live wire 9 coming on to replace McDermott. So 2 really good 9s there. 14-28. Just looks a bit too late though. Too many errors. And then indeed New Zealand come back with beautiful hands in a very tight space. Jordan, Akira Ioane again to the fore. Such lovely handling out wide. Frees up Perinara. Flows all the way to the left, back to the right. Try to Anton Leonard-Brown. 14-33, and that's more like it from New Zealand. Fantastic skills. I mean, they're making it happen very quickly, which is great. So they're not having to grind through the phases. They're just making it happen when they get the chance. And then 71 minutes, oh my goodness, it's like deja vu. Australia looking like another great attack building in the 22, but again, give it away. Perenhara again goes up the right. It's an interception. Sees Bridge on the far side on the left calling for the ball, smashes a long kick over to the left. Bridge lets it bounce and then gallops in for the try. 14-38. Of course they can't get the conversion, but still just pouncing on those Australian mistakes and making them pay. And the final play of the game, really, 77 minutes, just the story of the match. When Australia put it together and don't make the mistakes, they look really good. Brilliant side-to-side attack, brilliant tempo from White, keeping the ball zipping around. Banks, lovely line to finish hard under the posts. 21-38, that's more like it, but they'll be absolutely gutted with all the errors they made, and New Zealand just pounced when they had the chance. Does this look like the championship is building towards the final clash between New Zealand and South Africa? I think it is. South Africa may see the New Zealand set pieces somewhere they will attack. I'm sure they will. New Zealand will be happy, certainly, with their turnovers, their transition plays and the lethality of their finishing. For Australia, like I said, there's definitely danger there in the back line. White, Karevi made a massive difference. Kurumbeti's very dangerous. McDermott looked good. And for New Zealand, the Ioane brothers really stood out to me. Certainly at times they've been in and out of the New Zealand side. Should they, shouldn't they play? They've stuck their hands up. And with players to come back in to New Zealand, they certainly look favourites for the championship. But let me know what you think of that match, of Australia. Are they better than what they've shown in those three matches? New Zealand, can they go up a gear? Does South Africa have a chance of really getting to them? Let's see how it plays out, but really enjoyed that match. Pop your comments below and I will catch you next time.